Hello. So this is a video on BPD code for dependence for everyone watching this and relationships. So what's that? Anyways, so to be to bring yourself authentically to relationships to the world, you have to know who you are to constantly work on that through journaling, through meditation, but also be aware of your boundaries, that you're constantly like analyzing, realizing who you are, what you stand for, what you're contributing to, analyzing the people you're around, their energy. What do they make you feel when you're around them? Do you feel like more empowered? Do you feel more confident? Or do they leave you feeling just like really up and down, really volatile, really just out of control? Because over time, that is going to build up. And that is going to probably accelerate, especially if you're not taking care of yourself, your boundaries, realizing where this person starts and where you start. If constantly analyzing what is the impact they're having on you, on your mental health, on what you're doing with yourself in this relationship. What are they contributing? Are they abusive? Are they not? So, for this, you need to understand what abuse is, how it shows up in so many ways. Whether verbal abuse, whether emotional abuse, whether mental abuse, and whether you're okay with someone who is not okay with the clothes you wear, their values contradict with yours, but also like if they are shaming you, if they are criticizing you, if they are making you feel bad for who you really are, then is it worth it to stay in that situation? That is what you have to decide. Are you signing up for being treated like your opinions don't matter? Are you signing up for someone who is just like when you're talking, you're constantly distracted, they're barely listening to what you're saying, but then they turn around and tell you that you're not interesting, what you're saying is boring, or I'm paying attention, but then you ask them, what was I just talking about? And they clearly don't have any clue because they weren't listening. And also pay attention to whether there are in addictions, what their sleeping patterns are, what their eating patterns are, because just if you're the one who's hanging out with them more and you're in their space, their house, or whatever, their patterns are affecting you, and you may not even have enough control to implement what you usually do at home. So make sure you keep tabs on how it's affecting you. Um, is it affecting your physical health? Because then, whether your emotional health is getting affected or your physical health, it will have an impact on your mental health. So you need to be aware of all these things. You need to keep asking yourself constantly these questions. Um, just being exposed to someone who is addicted to technology, who is addicted to eating, and especially like it helps to know yourself, because if you are someone who has struggled with addictions, if you are someone who has struggled with eating, with body concept, and they're constantly putting you down, or they're constantly like obsessed with the way your body looks, or they're shaming you for your clothes or for your choices or for the way you are in your career, your capabilities. if they're like labeling you in certain ways that don't work for you, that are not your self concept, be aware that your subconscious is being programmed. So you are being programmed with all of that. So I have a bunch of new courses coming up. I'm really excited about that. And I just really felt this very strong urge to do this video right now. So here I am doing it. And like the most important question I believe in life is why. Why are we doing what we're doing? What is causing us to do what we are doing? Like we have to keep analyzing. We don't have to, but feel like that is the way to live the most authentically, by questioning. Question social norms, what you've been taught, what you've been told, because the messages that you've received through introjection, which is basically taking on what your parents believe without questioning it, they are in your subconscious. So while you may be someone completely different, there are these messages that contradict with your real self, and they compromise your ability to live an authentic life. So just wanna end there. Again, be aware of the patterns of this person. Usually it's easy to see patterns. If someone just like reacts really strongly to something all of a sudden, that is a trigger for them. And if they have a lot of triggers, if they're very moody on a usual basis, if they have very little control over their finances, over their time, over the way they interact with people, if they let people steamroll over you, either they're going to expect the same from you, or they're going to do the same with you, or they're going to let other people do that to them, and that will be impacting you. So be aware that you are constantly questioning what is going on in this dynamic, and also your role in it. Like, where are you compromising yourself, compromising your resources, your mental health, your interests, and to keep on board as much as possible with your own priorities, your own boundaries, so that there is not this relationship shaped hole in your universe where you put all these things into this relationship and now there's nothing there. And now you're like, just like the desert of your solitude. And all of a sudden, like, perhaps you were trying to run away from loneliness, or perhaps they made you feel all these things you did not feel to that degree by yourself. But remember, when you shift the onus of responsibility onto someone else to do that for you, then you become completely reliant on them, at their mercy. And then you become more susceptible to their moods, their choices, their preferences, their decisions. So if someone is not taking you into regard while making important decisions, be aware of that. If you're trying to talk to them about serious issues time and time again, and they're just like being sarcastic, if they're being funny, if they start talking about something completely different, be aware of that. Be aware of how they handle their own lives and their own relationships, because the way they're doing that can really impact who you are with, and then who you become, and it could trigger a lot of stuff that you then have to deal with on your own. So be aware of all these things and how they're impacting you. And to be aware, keep questioning yourself, keep questioning how you feel, especially if you're someone who's used to not paying attention to how you feel. So be attentive to how you feel. Ask yourself, do I feel good about this? How do I really feel about this? Do I think this is fair? Do I think this is what I want in relationships? What do I want in relationships? Do I want someone who just disappears for days and then doesn't reply? Do I want someone who then agrees to talking to you like 2 hours a day or an hour a day, or texting you once a day, but then they're like, oh my God, don't bother me any more than that? Do you think you deserve to put your energy, your precious time on this planet in the hands, in the care of someone who really does not value it? And to be able to value it and attract people who do value it, you have to value it yourself. So when you feel like you're falling off, find a way to create distance. Find a way to start going back to yourself a little at a time. Whether it's through journaling, meditation, and then trying to build momentum with that. Remind yourself, if you've been in dysfunctional relationships, what that has cost you in the past. Right? Make a list, or take down a piece of paper. Take out a piece of paper, write down whatever it has cost you to be sacrificial, to be a people pleaser, to be so giving that you have lost yourself in relationships time and time again, and realize what the costs are and whether it's even possible to sustain healthy relationships that way. So ask yourself all these questions. Is it worth it? Is it worth my mental sanity? Is it worth it to become someone's punching bag? Is it worth it to be treated like your opinions don't matter? Is it worth it to be told whenever you are trying to express your feelings that your feelings are basically crazy, delusional, excessive, too much? Because, okay, they are what they are. They're not. Maybe someone else is perceiving it that way, but that's their opinion and they are entitled to it, I suppose. But do you want to be with that kind of person? Because realize that if you're with someone who has a secure attachment style, you have way more chances of moving towards that. But at the same time, you have to be aware of your vulnerabilities, your triggers, your fears, and actively work on those. As well as realizing that someone who does not want to make any future plans with you, while they say they do, while they promise you a lot of things, but when it comes down to actually organizing and working on those things, they are just always tired or busy or not in the mood, or there's always something better. Do you want to be with someone who treats you as the last priority? And how do you know that? It's because it's not what someone says. They may say all these beautiful things that you really want to hear, but it's what they do. And what they do, like a few months into the relationship, even if they weren't that way to begin with, um, how do they like prioritize you into their day? How do they prioritize other things? Is it always like if there's something better than your like the last priority? Ask yourself all these questions and try to be as honest and as real with yourself, and try to be your best friend at every step of the way. I know it's um, easier said than done, but there is hope. You are your own best friend. You are your own savior. You are your own advocate. You are your own confidant. So be sure that you're fulfilling all those functions and taking care of yourself and guiding your beautiful spirit through whatever you need to be through, and to do it in a way that's strong and real and authentic to yourself. So that's what I have for today. And I just really felt the urge to do it, so I'm here. So see you guys soon. Bye bye.